and keep Michigan from getting anything easy.
Michigan. Oh, Reese had his foot on. Reese had his back foot on the line. Michigan forces the turnover.
Jim, again, you play passively, bringing the ball in against the press. You've got to go long and look for a score if it's available. Michigan's got 4 guys playing up high, only 1 back.
What a break for the Wolverines. They insert Palinka. Knocks down a couple of threes in the first half.
Well, I think a situation, you don't want to foul him when he's a three-point shooter, but North Carolina can afford some fouls here. And Jim, we got to be thinking this Michigan team, out of their last 8 games, 4 of them went overtime. Do you think it could happen again? North Carolina involved in that triple overtime national championship back in '57. And of course, Michigan with an overtime championship against Seton Hall.
3 to tie.
Got it.
Oh, it sure looked good. Weber underneath. 1-point game. North Carolina by 1.
Michigan has no timeouts left. Sullivan pushed off, got by with it. There it is. Go long.
Roeder in the corner. 25 seconds remaining. Palinka tried to call. He does, in fact, commit the foul on Sullivan. So Sullivan will go to the line with 20 seconds remaining. He's a 79% free throw shooter. He'll be in a 1-and-1.
Well, there was another young man that went to the line with 17 seconds to go a few years ago. Matt Doherty missed the front end of a one-on-one, which set up a shot that Sleepy Floyd hit to put Georgetown ahead of North Carolina, which created the shot that Michael Jordan then hit to win it for North Carolina. So Sullivan finds himself in the same shape as Doherty.
Williams comes back in. It's a 1-and-1 with 20 seconds left. Remember, Michigan won the first game this season by 1 on a last-second putback by Rhodes. Now, let's watch. A 2 to tie. Michigan will have to bring it.
Oh, he walked. He walked and the referee missed it.
Weber brings it into the front court. They have no timeouts remaining.
Oh, he calls it too many timeouts. That's a technical foul.
He called a timeout. Michigan doesn't have any.
He got by with a walk, and Jimmy calls a he calls the timeout. He doesn't realize that's Michigan's too many, and so it'll be a technical foul. North Carolina shooting and the ball. A huge mental mistake. Steve Fisher calls his team back.
You know, at this, you hate to even harken back to '82, but there was a mistake, a mental mistake at the very same point of the game between Georgetown and North Carolina in 1982.
Absolutely correct. And everybody remembers Freddie Brown with the ball. Worthy really out of position on that particular play. Brown threw it to what he thought was a teammate out of the corner of his eye, and it was James Worthy.
Weber thought they had a timeout in their pocket. They did not. Thus, it's a technical foul against the Wolverines. North Carolina will shoot 2 plus have possession.
Correct. You'll see the walk, however. The referee had his back turned here. Doesn't see the play, but Weber walks on this one. Boom, boom, there's the walk. Now here he calls the timeout because he realizes he's in trouble. It's down to 11 seconds. And you can see the exasperated look on the sidelines of the Michigan.
Disbelief.
Yep. And it'll be Donald Williams going into the line, Jim. And the young man who's had the hot hand throughout this tournament for this team has been the real leader, primarily with his great three-point shooting. Now has an opportunity to do it on the line. And if you're Michigan, not much you can do about it right here. You just have to hope that he doesn't make it. And of course, if you're North Carolina and you're George Lynch, you said we want to win one more for Coach Smith. And that's the position they're in.
It is almost eerie how this is setting up to be such a similar scene to 1982, the other year that Dean Smith won a national championship. If he wins one tonight, that'll be 2-2 in the Superdome.
Exactly, Jim. He is 5-0 in this building. Coming in here, he's beaten Tulane twice, and then plus the win he had Saturday and the 2 wins to win the national crown. You know, they've named a dome after him already in North Carolina, the Dean Dome. Do you think there's any possibility that New Orleans may adopt him if Donald Williams is fortunate enough to hit these shots?
Yeah, you know, it's really the Smith Center, so this should be the Dean Dome if he wins tonight.
Maybe you call it the Smith Center when you don't live in North Carolina, but when you live in North Carolina, you call it the Dean Dome.
Not bad for a coach who had his first head coaching job in 1958 at Air Force as the golf coach. Went out to play a round of golf with an assistant football coach named Pepper Rogers and was told by the AD, low man gets the head coaching job for the golf team. Smith won.
And in addition to going to being a great coach, he's the man responsible for the $32 million that was raised for that Dean Dome.
Now look, 2-point differential, and since they'll get possession and Michigan can't stop it, he makes 2, this game will be over.
And Jim, the other thing that's interesting, we talked about foul problems. It turned out not enough fouls were the problem for Michigan.
Difference. North Carolina with 11 seconds to go, and they have the basketball.
There's a young man who's been a great shooter, but he opted not to come over for shooting practice on Saturday, rather had his meal. There's the offensive move.
Got to foul him.
But he said he'd rather eat his meal than come over and shoot. It certainly hasn't affected his play. Matter of fact, the young man is, I guess, broke a record here for three-point shooting in the Final Four. Huh?
He has made 10 out of 14 in the 2 games, Donald Williams. And how about Chris Webber? Well, what must be running through that young man's mind right now? Palinka in. Even if Michigan, should Carolina miss free throws and Michigan score at the other end, Carolina doesn't even have to inbound it.
The object is don't even touch the ball. Michigan cannot stop the game, and so basically the game is over.
Ray Jackson has fouled out with 6 points. But what about Webber?
Well, you know what he's thinking about. He's such a cerebral young man, has handled himself so well in the press conference. He's been absolutely fantastic with his knowledge of the game and the way he answers things. But maybe in the rush of the moment, Jim, going down there trying to beat 2 men, realizing there was 11 seconds on the clock, he just blanked out in regard to the foul.
Dean Smith 8 seconds away from a second national championship. The Fab Five comes up short again. There you have it. North Carolina is the 1993 national champion. North Carolina has won the national championship, 77-71, and Dean Smith, congratulations to you and the Tar Heels. This is your town now. 2 national championships with 11 seconds to go when Chris Webber called timeout. Did you realize the consequences right away?
I was probably a little slow, like 2 seconds. I remember they had no timeouts, but I don't know why it was. He was getting double teamed in the corner, wasn't he? And, of course, we still had a good chance to win anyway. I really don't want to say, well, that's another fluke.
Well, you went on a 16-6 run to close out the game. How did you guys do it?
Well, Donald Williams really made some baskets, and we were fortunate, too. They missed some easy shots, but I'm so proud of their competitive spirit of our team.
Coach, let me ask you, we're sitting there watching this game, the ebb and flow, and it looked like both of your coaches are saying, hey, I want to have my team fresh down the wire. I mean, you took some pretty calculated gambles.
It is so funny. Our main goal was to wear them out, and I think they wore us out. They're a great team, and we're fortunate to have won.
How about if we get some of your guys in here?
Right here. Donald Williams.
Had a great game.
Donald, you made another 5 out of 7 3-point shots.
For the stars, what is that? We're shining moment.
That's coming up. We got it for you, Pat. It's coming up later, but tell us about some of the shining moments in your outside shooting.
Well, I started off a little nervous in the game, but my teammates and coaches really talked to me, and as the game went on, I felt really confident, and my shots started falling.
Billy's got a question for you.
No, I want to ask George Lynch. Where's George?
George Lynch, come on, George.
Come to the top of the hill, baby. Come to the top of the hill.
When did you give the emotional speech tonight to say that this is one you guys wanted to get for Coach Smith?
Well, I gave it, we were talking to him the whole time, let him know at the last 40 seconds that, it went down to the wide in Hawaii, and we didn't want him to get a rebound and a shot to upset us.
Hey, Eric, we saw your dad up there waving that North Carolina jacket of his. Will he be welcome at a Michigan Alumni Association meeting?
That's pretty good for a Michigan alum, isn't it?
Hey, guys, I know at the East Regionals you did not cut down the nets. Are they coming down tonight? All right. Go after it. Congratulations, North Carolina, the national champions. And let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Jim, it's not deja vu tonight. It's deja blue here at the Superdome as Dean Smith wins again here. Let's go quickly to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Pat here with Coach Steve Fisher. Steve, a tremendously tough loss. Had you told your kids in the last timeout that was the final timeout? What happened?
In the heat of the moment, strange things happened, and we had talked that we had no timeouts, and Chris said he heard someone holler and call for a timeout, and it's an awful way to have the season end when you've got a chance to get a shot to tie, and no one feels worse than Chris, but we're not here if it's not for Chris, and it's unfortunate, but I think first I want to say congratulations to North Carolina on a great game and a well-deserved championship, and congratulations to Michigan and our kids on a great game who also deserve the national championship.
You've called them the most talented, also the smartest team that you have coached. Is it enormously unfair to characterize them as underachievers?
Well, what do you think, Leslie?
I think so.
I do too.
What about, can you put in any kind of perspective, 2 tough years, tremendous years, but ending, a little bit rugged? Can you put in perspective last year and this year?
Well, totally different seasons. We had a chance to win tonight. We didn't get it done. A year ago, we didn't have a chance to win with seconds to go. And what this team has accomplished will live on and long, and we're exceptionally proud of each and every one of them, and both as people and as basketball players, and they've made their mark on Michigan basketball.
So they have. Thank you very much, Steve. Back to you, Pat.
And let me say this, there is nothing in the world wrong with coming in second. As the Wolverines come in second, North Carolina, the national champions for 1993. We'll be back with a trophy presentation right after this. Stay with us.
Your attention, please, now to present the championship awards tonight. Here is the chairman of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee, Mr. Tom Butters.
On behalf of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee, I first would like to congratulate both ball clubs not only for their excellent play tonight, but throughout the tournament. And now it's my pleasure to present the National Championship Trophy to Coach Smith and the University of North Carolina. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Here we go. The seniors. That's the seniors. Congratulations to the North Carolina basketball squad. Thank you all for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the NCAA, we thank you for your support of NCAA basketball. Good evening.
And so North Carolina, in a short ceremony, Dean Smith may have been a loss for words there as they hand the trophy over to him. As you look at Eric Montross, our Chevy MVPs of the game. For Michigan, Chris Webber had a great night, 23 points. And Donald Williams had 25 points and says he dedicated this game to Jim Valvano, one of the first coaches to recruit him, at those big 4 clutch free throws. And I'm sure Jimmy V will be pleased to hear that. Chris Webber had a great game, but had that bad decision at the end. And Mike Krzyzewski, what about that at the end of the game? Steve Fisher said in the heat of battle things happen, but I have to think you should have your players prepared a little bit to know that that's going to happen.
Well, I'm sure they discussed it at the timeout and went over game situations. That's what you have to do. This is the game situation. What you have to do, too, though, Pat and James, is you have to reiterate those points while the free throws are being shot so that everyone's on the same page. And mistakes are made. That's why it's a kid's game, and kids play it, and kids play it very well.
You know, I think back 100 years, Mike, when I was playing basketball.
150.
You made a very good point. 150, the Godfather, you're absolutely correct. That a coach can say it an awful lot of times, but it's important to do what?
You have to listen. Everyone's got to really listen to things. And by the way, the real Dean Dome is here in New Orleans, not in Chapel Hill.
And taking nothing away, of course, from a great game played by Carolina, Coach.
Right. George Lynch and the rest of the kids played their hearts out, and they were certainly deserving of the national title.
They're cutting the nets down here in New Orleans. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to New Orleans. That has to be one of the defining moments of a young man's life, to cut down the nets after having won a national championship. That net will rest safely in a trophy case somewhere in North Carolina on the campus, and they go up one by one and clip it down. A couple of them sneak a little snippets for themselves, we noticed during the commercial, and stick it in their pocket. I think that's what I would do, JB, wouldn't you?
There's no question about it. String music indeed for North Carolina.
He looks over and gets the coach's reaction, right, Coach?
Well, they had better get the coach's reaction. His decisions down the end put him in position to win.
Now, what will they do tonight? A little partying maybe on the town, or will they be together as a team?
This is one of those times where the coach looks the other way and allows the players to use their own discretion.
Let's let this moment ride. It's complete. North Carolina, the 1993 NCAA national champions. You know, after 63 games, we have a champion, and how fitting that Dean Smith wins his second title right here on the same floor where a freshman named Michael Jordan won a championship for him back in 1982. Dean Smith is the second winningest coach in the history of the NCAA, but few, if any, victories are sweeter than this one tonight. And so as we bring down the curtain on another tournament, we want to salute all of the folks behind the scenes who labored long and hard to bring each and every one of you March Madness. And in keeping with our tradition at CBS Sports, here now is the last look back to what has become our tournament anthem. One shining moment. Good night, everybody.
lived it. There you are, you're running for your life. You're a shooting star, and all the years no one knows just how hard you worked, but now it shows. In one shining moment you reached deep inside. One shining moment you knew you were alive. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more than a race. When it's done, win or lose, you always did your best, 'cause inside you knew that one shining moment you reached for the sky. One shining moment you knew. One shining moment you were willing to try. One shining moment you knew. One